the middle of diplomacy, they decided to attack us. And that was very unfortunate. We appreciate all those countries who condemned this attack. We appreciate the government and people of India who expressed solidarity and sympathy towards the Iranian people. And we appreciate the humanitarian assistance provided to us by the Indian government as a sign of solidarity. And we are so happy about that. As you all know, we are now in the state of ceasefire, although it's very shaky. But we are trying to keep it in order to give diplomacy a chance, so a diplomatic solution, a negotiated solution can be found. As a matter of fact, there is no military solution to anything related to Iran. They have tested us times and again, never bow to any pressure or threat, and we resist against any aggression, against any pressure. We also resist against any sanction. For more than 40 years, my country has been the target, our people actually have been the target of brutal sanctions imposed by the United States against us. But it didn't change our determination. It didn't change our policies. The Iranian people only answer to the language of respect, as we did in the past. Anytime they approached us with the language of respect, offered diplomacy, offered negotiation, we have reciprocated the same language, and we have answered positively to any diplomatic solution. Now, after 40 days of war, when the US became hopeless of achieving any goal in their aggression against Iran, they offered negotiation. We are interested in negotiation, but only if the other side is serious and is in line of real negotiations. We have no trust to Americans. This is a fact. And this is the main obstacle in the way of any diplomatic effort. I think all of you know that we have every reason not to trust Americans, while they have no reason not to trust us. In 2015, we made a nuclear deal with Americans, together with other members of the Security Council and Germany, the so-called P5+1. We negotiated for more than 2 years, almost 2.5 years, and we came to a very good deal, and the whole world celebrated that as an achievement of diplomacy. But only 1 year after it was concluded, the new US administration, which was the first term of Trump administration, withdrew from that deal with no justification, with no reason, while Iran was fully committed to all of its obligations in that deal, which is known as JCPOA. And then in 2025, in June, again, we entered into negotiation with them. After 5 rounds of negotiation, they decided to attack us. And we had 12 days of war in last year. This year again, they offered negotiation, and we had 3 rounds of negotiations, first in Muscat and then 2 times in Geneva. The last round was on 26 February, and the Omani foreign minister, my dear friend Badr al-Busaidi, who mediated those negotiations, he posted a tweet and said that we made significant progress. I'm sure you have seen his tweet. And it's interesting that before he posted his tweet, he showed that to both delegations, the Iranian and US delegations. And the US delegation confirmed that, yes, we made significant progress today. And hopefully we can conclude a deal very soon. But only 2 days after, on 28 February, they made an aggression, together with Israelis, against my people. So the most important issue right now is the question of trust. We cannot trust Americans at all. So everything should be exact. Everything should be defined very clearly before we can conclude a deal. We have resisted in a very brutal war against my people. They couldn't achieve any of their goals. And it is obvious that those things they have not been able to achieve militarily, they cannot achieve on negotiation table, unless there is a win-win solution achieved. So the current negotiation is suffering from the lack of trust. It is also suffering from contradictory messages we receive from Americans. Every day is different from the other day, from yesterday. A tweet today is different from yesterday's tweet. Sometimes in one day we receive 2 different messages. And this is the problem. And add to the question of mistrust. We know that there are also some spoilers who try to derail diplomacy. It's a fact. The warmongers who want to drag the US again into another war. And I hope that wisdom and diplomacy would finally prevail, and we go in line of diplomacy to find a negotiated solution. There is no solution but a negotiated one. It's a fact. So with these brief comments, I am available for any question.
How do you view India's relationship with the UAE in the current context? The United Arab Emirates.
So our relation?
India's relation with the United Arab Emirates.
So what is the question?
How do you view it? Given the fact that very closer.
Well, the voice is not very good, so India has relations with so many countries, and this is actually related to India to decide for its relations. What matters for us is good relations which exist between us and India, and as I said, it is rooted in history, and it is rooted in old political, economic, and cultural relations we have always had, and we are determined to continue our good relations with India.
Excellency, Zafar Bego from Times Now. My question is, yesterday, President Trump and President Xi Jinping of China met, and they issued a statement in which the Americans said that both China and America said that Iran cannot possess a nuclear weapon, and that both China and America agreed that the Strait of Hormuz should be open. What do you have to say to that?
Well, we share the same opinion. Iran has never wanted nuclear weapon, and we have proved that when we signed the deal in 2015, and we have said times and again that we don't want nuclear weapon, and this is not our policy. We have a peaceful nuclear program, and we have always been ready to make confidence that this program is peaceful and will remain peaceful. On the Strait of Hormuz, this is also our wish that it would be fully reopened. As far as we are concerned, the Strait of Hormuz is open and all vessels can pass except the vessels belonged to those countries who are in war with us, who are fighting with us. Those vessels who want to pass should obviously coordinate with our military because of the mines and obstacles which exist. So we will guide them to pass, as we have done for a number of Indian vessels, and we help them to pass. The safe passage of all vessels is our policy and in our interest, and we are ready to help those who want to pass safely and securely. This is our policy. At the same time, we have the blockade by the US. We have insecurity in the region because of the US aggression. So obviously the situation is not like the past. But once the aggression is ended, then I'm sure everything would go back to normal. And we make arrangements for the safe passage of all vessels from the Strait of Hormuz, together with Oman. As all of you know, Iran and Oman are two coastal countries in two sides of the Strait of Hormuz. The strait is located in territorial waters of Iran and Oman. There is no international waters in between. So everything should be managed by Iran and Oman, and this is what we are now consulting with each other to make sure that the arrangements, that there would be a good administration in the Strait of Hormuz in the future, which guarantees the safe passage of all vessels.
Dr. Abbas Araghchi, my name is Adil, I am from Pressing. My question is about the BRICS joint declaration.
In which Israel has been called out about its aggression in Gaza and West Bank and its illegal occupation in West Bank.
Please don't use microphone, guys.
Below, right? Israel has been called out for its aggression in Gaza and its illegal occupation in West Bank. But there is a mention that a member state had a reservation about that para. Can we know which member state is that? And also, we haven't seen any reference to US-Israel aggression against Tehran. Why is that?
Well, you have to ask the president of this meeting to answer that question. I'm not in charge to answer those questions, but I think everybody knows that which country blocked anything against Israel, and that was very unfortunate. The same country did help the US and Israel in their attack, in their aggression against Iran. The same country provided the US and Israeli forces with their airspace, with their territories, with their military bases. And as far as we are concerned, they are in a direct party to this aggression and should be held responsible.
So, Siddhan from beyond, my question to you is, what conversation you had with the Indian External Affairs Minister earlier today? What conversation was on Hormuz, especially given the fact that there are Indian vessels still in the Hormuz? Will they be allowed to move as soon as possible because it's impacting the energy prices here in India?
Well, yesterday I had a very good brief discussion with Prime Minister Modi, and today a lengthy meeting with Minister Jaishankar. We discussed about almost everything, including the Strait of Hormuz and the situation in the Persian Gulf region, I have to say that we have more or less close positions, and we have same concerns and same interests in this important region. So we continue to coordinate with our Indian colleagues. As I said, the situation in the Strait of Hormuz is very complicated right now, and we are trying to help ships to pass safely. Everything would go back to normal once the act of aggression is totally and completely ended.
Minister Vishnu Shom from NDTV, welcome to our country. There is, as Siddharth was mentioning, a great deal of concern about the flow of oil and gas from the Persian Gulf to India. Is Iran not willing to get into an agreement with New Delhi to allow the sustained movement of Indian ships from the Persian Gulf to India?
Well, India has been a customer of Iranian oil in the past, and it has been stopped by India because of the U.S. sanctions, U.S. illegal unilateral sanctions. So we are obviously interested to continue our business in oil business, energy business, and we are ready to sell our oil to India. Of course, we do understand their considerations, and we do understand the consequences of the sanctions which are imposed by the U.S. So we have no problem. It's up to the Indian government to decide. But I believe that once the sanctions are lifted, we will immediately go back to the same volume of trade that we had with each other. Before those sanctions, we used to have more than $20 billion of business and trade with India. Now it is much smaller, but it's still in billions of dollars. So Iran and India have always enjoyed good trade and business relations. I'm sure the capacity between the two is really high, and we can go back to same volume that we used to have, or even higher, as soon as sanctions are lifted.
Thank you. I'm Elena from TASS Agency. Sir, yesterday you met your Russian counterpart, Mr. Lavrov. Did you discuss the offer which Russian officials have on the table regarding the removing uranium from Iranian territory to Russia? What is your current position on this offer from Russian side? And can this offer crucial in resolving this deadlock in negotiations between Iran and US?
Well, yes. Yesterday I had a very good meeting with Sergei Lavrov. I have to say that we have always consulted with our Russian friends. We have a very good relation, strategic partnership, and we have always consulted with each other regarding all international, regional, and bilateral issues. I met President Putin in St. Petersburg about, I think, 10 days ago, less than 2 weeks ago, and we discussed everything, including the question that you mentioned. We are thankful to our Russian friends for their offer and for their, intention to help the resolution of this problem. Of course, this is something that we have to decide during the negotiations. The subject of our enriched material is a very complicated one, and we have now come to the conclusion with Americans that since it is very difficult, we are almost in a deadlock on this particular question, let's postpone it to the later stages of our negotiations. So for the time being, it is not under discussion. It's not under negotiation, but we will come to that subject in later stages. And when we come to that stage, obviously we would have more consultations with Russia, and we see if the Russian offer can help or not. This is not something for the time being.
Sir, Excellency, leaders from New Tech in India, you were also part of negotiation. My question to you is that what are the main issues preventing an end to the conflict between your country and US?
I think I already answered that question. The most important question is the question of mistrust, or the lack of trust from our side to Americans, and I explained the reasons of that mistrust. Another issue is, or another problem is as I said, contradictory messages, which has made us reluctant about the real intentions of Americans in these negotiations. We are in doubt about their seriousness, but the moment we feel that they are serious and they are ready for a fair and balanced deal, we certainly proceed in the course of negotiations.
Minister, thank you for doing this. Raza from the Hindustan Times. I want to ask you basically